Aoun, the president of Lebanon there. Let's bring in our correspondent Molana-Allen, who's following all developments for us. Layla, good evening to you. Aoun's speech, did it get the kind of reaction that you expected?
It did really, and that's for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the delay. This is the president of the country, and it's now been over a week since these protests started. People saying, where is our silent president? And then today, when the speech actually happened, people very angry that it appeared to be edited. He hadn't even been able to do it live, they said. If he can't react to us live after something like this, really, what use is he? And the second issue is the fact that it really seemed to be the same as what the other politicians are saying, the same as what Prime Minister Saad Hariri said on Monday. This has become a bit of a meme revolution with lots of things going around instantly viral on social media here. And there was an immediate meme after the speech which showed the different politicians, the ministers, with their feet in a circle like sports players, as though they were tag teaming together to make sure they were all on the same message before they made their speeches. So people felt really what he was saying was exactly the same as what they'd heard before. He did try and appease the protesters. He said that we will protect your right, your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression. But he immediately said, you must protect the freedom of movement. And this has been what's happening over the last few days. Protesters know the most powerful thing they can do is to block the roads, stop the economy, shut down the country. And the army has started trying to stop them. So as soon as the president said that, they immediately said, well, he's trying to take away our only power. He also told them that the government cannot be toppled from the streets, only by political change from the inside, which of course they have all scoffed at because they feel they are toppling the government. Several people I spoke to today, one told me she felt so betrayed. Another young man said, why would we believe him? Even if what he said today was good, we're not stupid. It's been years and nothing's ever happened. What's different now? If he couldn't do it before, he can't help us now.
One wonders where it goes next, Layla. The protesters have rubbished Prime Minister Hariri's economic package. They've been, as you've said, unimpressed by President Aoun's call to talk. So what concessions, if any, are likely to make the street protesters stop?
Well, this is really the problem for the government now, is there's very little they can do to appease the protesters except leave. The chant that goes around is, all of them means all of them. This is a very sectarian, divided country, and yet for the first time in years, we are seeing all Lebanese come together under the Lebanese flag and say, we want rid of all the politicians. We're not supporting our own individual sectarian ones. We want an entirely new government. There's one thing that they could perhaps do to appease them, which is to get rid of Gebran Bassil. He is the foreign minister and probably the most unpopular of all the Lebanese politicians. But that's very unlikely because he's the son-in-law of the President Michel Aoun. He is the heir apparent to the Free Patriotic Movement, which is Aoun's party, and likely to be, if this system continues, the next president because of the way the sectarian system works. So even if they could try and get him to step down, it's unlikely that will happen and that he'll go without a fight. So at the moment, there's very little the government can do, as I say. Beyond that, the problem for the protesters is twofold. The first issue is the actual political system. Even if they can get the politicians, the current government, to step down, because of the way this country is organized, the entire political system, as I said, is sectarian. It's spread across the countries in different districts, which means they're not trying to topple one leader, they're trying to topple everyone. And if they manage to, one of their main complaints is that all the politicians are from dynastic families. They are all the sons or the nieces or the nephews of people who were the leaders during the Civil War. Some of them still are the leaders from during the Civil War. So they're all linked to this toxic system that the protesters see. If they're all got rid of, there really doesn't seem to be anyone who is ready to take power. Civil society are trying to put together some leaders, but of course that takes us to the second problem, which is that right now we have this incredibly united body of protesters across the country. That's because they've all come together and what they know they don't want is the current government. But then what do they want afterwards? As soon as you start asking those questions, we're already seeing divisions in civil society as people start to have arguments over who should lead, who has the right to lead, who's qualified, because of course nobody has the experience. And we're starting to see things fragment just a little bit. We've had some clashes now, different sides starting to come up against each other. Today in downtown Beirut, we had a group of Hezbollah supporters who came along to the protests, and they were saying that although they do agree that all of them means all of them, the only one that doesn't include it is Hassan Nasrallah, who's the chief of Hezbollah. He's better than all of them and he should be allowed to stay. If different groups start to say that, then we take ourselves back to the same situation. So while the unity of these protests has been amazing, whether that can endure is another question.
Leila, thank you very much indeed for that guide, really, to how people are thinking in Lebanon. And it is complex, as you say, because of the very nature of the country, but clearly explained. Thank you very much indeed. Molana-Allen, our correspondent there in Beirut. Thank you very much. We continue to watch all developments, of course, in Lebanon with our team and, of course, Leila, our correspondent.